Hello everybody, this is Lord Pie, Tie-Dye, your favorite sim gadfly here, and as you can see I created a nice little stop sucking at the sim logo here. It's drawn in MS Paint. I do have the means in the software to draw something fancier, but there's something really interesting about just using MS Paint. You know, it's very, it's a good throwback. But anyway, today's episode has to do with jockeys, and this is a very important episode because jockeys are probably the most important thing in the game that people do not pay attention to. I can honestly say I was fairly hesitant to post this episode, to make this episode, because of how important it can be. And by telling you this information, by telling you the audience this information, this is actually going to cause me to lose, you know, an edge I have in, you know, my sim races. So, you know, I had to think hard about, you know, do I really want to give the sim at large this information? And, you know, I decided, yeah, go ahead. The crowds deserve it. They need to know what's going on. They need to know how important jockeys are and how to select them and use them and be successful. So, I've scripted out some of this, but we will also go off the rails as we usually do on these episodes, so bear with me. There may be some funny noises too. I'm trying a new video player, so please be patient. If there's weird noises besides my voice, I apologize. But this is, it can't be said enough, this is a very important episode. If you don't want to watch all the episodes we end up making here, because you want to boycott me or some other dumbass reason, definitely make sure you watch this episode start to finish and take in everything that's said and revealed here. So let's go. Got the sim screen up. Let's go to jockeys. And if you don't know how to get there, it's under the miscellaneous tab, and then jockeys. So here's the screen, and one thing about the Sims, so these types of screens are way too scary. I mean, you're clicking buttons, things are being revealed, you're clicking more buttons, they're being taken away, there's check boxes everywhere. It's a pretty daunting screen, especially for someone who's new to the Sim. I mean, if you've been playing 5 years, and, you know, I remember after, you know, with the redesign of the Sim and getting to this screen and looking, it's like, wow. I mean, there's just so much crap going on. But, you know, do not fear. For, you know, you will be walked through this section. So let's just I'll update the list. So here is just a gigantic list of sim jockeys. And I would tell you how it's sorted by default, but honestly I haven't, well, it says in the money percentage. Weird sorting default there, but our man H. the Sitter is the most in the money jockey around. He probably runs in a lot of 4-horse races in Nebraska. But so you can sort on here, you can look through. I don't know how much of this information is interesting. You know, lots of wins here. You know, Gossip is used a lot. He's a very active rider. You can sort by total money won per race. I think this is one of the more helpful statistics, dollars per race. It allows you to really kind of lock in on the the upper echelon guys, so guys who are running in racing in big races. So it's always good to sort there if you're new to the stakes scene, especially the graded stakes scene. Sorting here and picking some jockeys from here would be not the worst thing to do. So take that, as you will. If we see T Small here at the top, and we'll go over him. He's a jockey of, Sim Monster Spice Turtle. So we'll go over his, his rating, his number. You see a lot of experienced guys near the top. A lot of people like to go with their familiar riders. We have K Banner here from Pennsylvania. From my recollection, he's one of the better sprint riders. So, but you may notice here that these horses, these jockeys are highlighted in the blue background. That is because they are flagged by me, and by flagged I mean they are active for me. So basically I have quote unquote selected them in some way, shape, or form. So let me go to kind of a standard one instead of one of the ones I'm paying. So let's go to Weldon here, and this is what it looks like for just a general selection at a local racetrack. Status is active. Everything else is basically at its default. Activate is checked off. The sell order is 0 because I haven't changed any of the tie break or percentage winnings or guarantee. So really just as a general way to select jockeys, if you are so inclined. Figure out which region you race at first. Maybe you race at a mall. Maybe you race only in the U.S. Maybe you race exclusively in the international circuit. Figure out where you race. Update the list and find a list of riders that are available to select at your regional location. So we'll go by the Americas first, and let's go by the yearly list. See who's select guys who are doing worthwhile this year. As you can see, I have a lot selected. I'd say you want to select a lot of guys for the various tracks available. As you can see, there's a race minimum. Some guys, like Texas Ace, look at, he won't race for any tag less than 100,000. So he's not going to ride the 10 claimer. So you want to select riders that are also going to be available to ride within your dollar range. So if you're racing 20 claimers and you have select a guy who races minimum 50 claimers, he's not going to ride your horse. Let's go to that. We'll see. Look, claim race minimum 50K. He's not going to be available to ride at the lower tiers. So you want to select multiple jockeys. So this guy's in Kansas. So select multiple guys in Kansas. I'd say 5 to 6 is a good start. Maybe you want to do like 8 to 10. It's really easy to make them active. You just go in, click save, and it changes them to active. So activates already checked. I click save, remove them, click remove. They're not added. Save, click remove. It takes them out. Close that. Go back in there. You'll see that they're not added. Click save again. They're active. Come back here. Check they're still active. See, he's active. I don't like next bonus, so we're just going to remove Sorry, Bill. So, um, so that's as easy as it is, selecting jockeys, and that's your brief tutorial, I'll say, um, on how to select jockeys in general. So now we're going to look at the idea of, well, who do you want to select? All you see here are numbers. And I think it'd be a sim breakthrough if someone took all the jockey stats and showed, various statistics, turf sprinting, dirt sprinting, like everything, every opportunity or every classification that, horses go through. It'd be nice to see jockeys that are reflected as such as well. So, statistics on who's good on turf sprints, routes, graded stakes. Some of these numbers reveal that, but they don't tell you the whole story. And, maybe it's by design that Bill, that Mike Wallace does it like that. Because if you knew all the information, this jockey picking would be beyond straightforward and easy. You just, it would just be an auction for who can gain whose services in certain races. So you got to do your homework to see who's good and what they're good on. That's up to you as a player until set statistics are made available. So I just picked one track here, Arizona. I just have 3 guys selected here. What's very important, so what I like to do when I select jockeys is, it's easy to go for big win percentage guys. That's kind of the no-brainer way to go about it. I don't necessarily like to go that way because, you don't, some of these numbers are just skewed. Like, look how many races these guys have. People are selecting them, bid races, sponsored races, guys are just choosing them and getting them to ride, 4-horse races, 4-horse bid races. Their statistics are good, but it's not a true indicator of ability. It's not a true representation of, will the guy improve my horse? Will he improve my horse, to win? You can bet that they're reasonably competent with these numbers, but, competence and improving a horse don't necessarily go hand in hand. So what I like to do is, look at the top win percentage guys, but also, sort by some of the other columns, dollars per race. So who's been sneaking some efforts in, stakes races or bigger races. Look at that claim race minimum. Some of these guys don't have a minimum. Everyone in Arizona looks like they're pretty damn long in the tooth with experience. Need to tell Mike to inject some life into this Arizona colony. It's a sleepy bunch. It's like a retirement home in the jockey room. But you look through these. There's a lot of guys in the like 15 to 20 range. Lots of these guys are capable. So let's see. Let's see where the anomalies are. So let's see this R. Lianos. He has, more. He has a pretty high in the money percentage, considering, he's winning at 15%, but he's 50% in the money. So he knows how to get a horse, into the top 3. So let's select him. Let's see what he's all about here. All right, so on the year, he has high percentages. The last 3 months, in the money stays the same, but win percentage is iffy. You know, take that for what for what it is. It could be an anomaly, could be something else. You know, it's hard to say. There's a lot of, since Arizona has a lot of short fields, there's a lot of guys with higher percentages. You know, and it mirrors real life, because in real life you have people that have high winning percentages because they're at certain places, or they get, you know, they're teamed up with certain trainers, and you know, it's not too indicative of ability. Some of these other guys, you know, like at R. Noonan, look at his last 3 months. He's been, you know, it's big. It's a big winning percentage there. You know, he's quote unquote fire. 27 years of experience. I mean, he may be worth looking into. He may be into a signing. You know, one of the lower level ones I have is N. Gardner here. Throwing some money his way. He'll travel for me if I have a stakes in this region. And mainly, you know, just how we'll go into why I select them for, you know, like stakes races and tiebreakers and stuff. But shortly in the next couple of minutes. But you know, don't just look at numbers. You know, challenge them. Ask questions. Ask, you know, what are we trying to do here? Who's hot? Who's not? You know, who's getting the job done? Because there's a lot of guys on here that are just looking for the chance to step up, you know, and have a chance at the big races. And they'll do you good. If you can find them, they'll be available. That's the best part. You don't have to fight with every single resident of the GR Simsters to get your top jockey. You don't have to pay him $1 bazillion to want to ride your horse. He'll travel, and you know, he'll put in good efforts for you, or she, you know, equal opportunity for jockeys here. But you know, it's worth investigating, because it can give you a leg up, and that's what we're all looking for. You know, we're all looking for that extra oomph, especially to win those stakes and those graded races. So now, at this point, you're probably asking, all right, Pi, that sounds all well and good, but how the hell do I know who's good, who's not good, who's going to improve my horse, who's going to be good going turf marathon? Well, I can't really break it down for you who's good at, you know, dirt or surface, distance. You know, that's really kind of up for interpretation based on what you see on results. But I can tell you one way I like to go about figuring out, well, who's going to make the cut as a premium jockey in my stable. So the premium guys are guys that I'm paying extra for, basically. It's guys that I'm using to travel to races for me. So this one's already public knowledge. I already posted about this in the message board. J-Dog won lots of money in the last 3 months for me. Wins at a 20% clip. So the answer is, well, you know, why is J-Dog special? How did you figure that out? You know, are you some sort of like sleuth? Well, no, I'm not some genius who's analyzing numbers nonstop and coming up with like why he's the perfect jockey for my stable. It's much more simple than that. Basically, I have all these guys chosen, so many different ones, all kinds of, you know, hundreds selected. Various tracks you know, all have decent win percentages, but only a handful of these guys will actually really improve runners. And I'll tell you what I mean here. I have a prime example here. You know, I've been it's always important to manage your jockeys every, you know, at least yearly, to take some guys out, put some new blood in there, because with that, as you saw, jockeys have various experience levels, and just like horses, at a certain point, I'm positive, Mike can verify this, that, you know, when you increase, you know, in experience, there's probably levels where it drops off, or when it improves, if it's someone who's if it's a jockey who's fairly new, you know, they may improve with experience, and some of the really older guys may get worse with experience. So let me go to a horse here who improved a whole lot with a new rider, and I'll show you what happened here. So like everybody else, I check my results, I'm watching races, and here's the horse I had. He's 29 races, he's long in the tooth, he's been racing a long time as a 2-year-old, mostly sprints. You know, nothing flashy. He won a stakes back here. You know, a solid allowance racer. But here's where it gets a little different. So I tried all kinds of weird distances. Ran a mile. You know, conditioned allowance, no good. Came back about a month later, 7 furlongs, no good. He ran a good race. I mean, won by head. It's not particularly fast. It wasn't particularly heady company. Now this is where it gets interesting. So I go to South Africa, August 24th. Yeah, I'm dropping down in class. $100,000 claiming race. Now we're going 7.5. And out of nowhere, out of the clear blue sky, at 11-1, it was a tough field, 11-1. Full field, you know, well, not a full field, but a large field of 11. He drops this 113, you know, winning fairly comfortably in the end at long odds. So I look at that and I say, wow, that's a big improvement. You know, I don't have to explain an improvement like this. I mean, he's followed that up with fast efforts, but imagine looking at this screen. Let's scroll down. Imagine looking at this screen and like, oh, okay, you know, hovers around 100, you know, and then seeing this right as his new race right there. Wow. And simply put, that's how I figure out who to promote. Who do I take from kind of the pile of jockeys from the 15 to 20% range that I have listed as active to guys I want to travel and race in stakes races with me. Yeah, I mean, it's just conditioned claimer, but that's the type of improvement that's, you know, head turning. That came out of nowhere, and I was in the horse's 27th start. Like, this guy can make the horses go. You know, whether he can stomach the big races, I don't know, but if he can improve a horse like this, you know, that's well into his career. I mean, imagine what he can do with live horse flesh. So that's how I make the you know, jump. This is how so percentage of winnings, their guarantee, and then the tie break, is a breakdown of just who you want to be picked first if there's multiple jockeys with similar numbers. So, and he's not a flashy guy, like 18.6%, 17% lifetime, decent money numbers, 21 years experience. This a rider like this easily just falls through the cracks. He's maybe top 10 in South Africa, but he's not really garnering a whole bunch of support from any of the big stables. So, but I saw that race and I said, hey, this guy's worth a shot. This guy's worth promoting, given some, important. This guy deserves opportunity to have a go at some more important rides. And we'll take a look at some. And he proved his mettle here. So shortly after that race in August, I put him on the payroll, and September 15th, going 16 with this horse against older as a 3-year-old against older, short field, 4.5 length wins easy. 3-year-old running against older, going 2 miles, wins easy. Came back in the Millwood Cup, not so good, but short rest after those 2-mile races. Short rest here between these two. Probably some lingering effects. But 17-1, look at this improvement. Just sprung out a 4.5 length win. Open lengths. Let's go to that race. Who do we beat? Some graded winners there. Older graded winners. That's the type of improvement you want to see. This is just, this guy's just a 19% rider from South Africa. He traveled to Surrey to ride to grade 2. More than happy to ride in that race. Let's look some more. Rose Stars. Again, October 1st, after he came under the employ of Big Oil. 109. Where'd that race come from? This is one of the horses I mentioned in the previous broadcast, Road to the Stars. 75 claimer. The guy gets the job done. There's jockeys like this in real life. Pick whoever, name whatever, one of your favorite long shot winning jockeys in real life history, and you can name guys who blow up the tote board on any given day or any given stakes race, and they just seem to always be there. I remember here's an Eddie Delahousse. Here we go, 15-1. Never ran 100. Horses never run 100 in its life. 14 furlongs, 109, 1 length victory. There's our guy. Beat Lenny. Who doesn't want to do that? Our horse improves 17 points in Wax Lenny. If that's not enough to make you want to choose jockeys, I don't know what to tell you. But it just shows, wow, that's huge improvement. And is it me being, is it me selecting, is it me entering horses? No. Anyone could have done this. I'm not going to say this horse didn't have promise, or that the jockey was 100% the reason. But I mean, here's your proof right here. Here's your empirical evidence. Big improvement. What happens next? My other guy keeps that improvement. Pair of 109s, pair of victories, huge odds, equalizers. That's what the jockeys are, equalizers. And if you pick the ones that can improve your runners, you have a fighting chance in these big races. You have a fighting chance in any race. So, don't just go for the guys that ride well for you. It's easy to go for all the big number guys. 25, 30 win percentage jockeys, that's sexy as hell, but that doesn't tell the whole story. See some other ones here. Dyed Candy. Our man J-Dog pops it at 15-1. Again, Everhard's on. Second, fifth. I guess he doesn't win if he's below 10-1. Long shot Hunter. But those are some of the guys. Those are the guys I want the most to be riding here. And here's our buddy J-Dog in the St. Legend 11-1. Bang. You can call it whatever you want. Call it luck. Call it, good placement. Call it anything. But there's riders that can make a difference in what you're trying to do. And if you don't look for them, or if you don't select them, or you just abstain completely from selecting jockeys, you're going to be behind in the big races. And this is where I'm going to show you some of the best horses in the game here. If you pay any attention to big races at all in the game, Spice Turtle is currently the best runner out there. $21 million winner. $21 million. Just won the Japan Classic on Sunday. And look what we have here. Look at what we have here. You have your modest beginnings. Some of the most incredible runners are just come out, just modest winners. They don't come out running 120s. This isn't like some dumb Bob Baffert real life bullshit where they run 120s right off the get-go. It's, just inauspicious beginnings. And then they find their stride. Look, T Small. He's been the rider since, the horse started to attack Grade 1 races. And good riders, and this is really similar to real life. Good riders do not give a shit what odds they are. They do not care. They will, if you have the horse flesh, they will get it home. So when T Small got on this horse and he was 25-1, he did not give a shit. Bam, 2 length victory. He knew he had the goods, and he rode like he had the goods. Some riders aren't like that. So it's like in real life too. If you have a chance to have Mike Smith, Gary Stevens in the U.S., Huey Bowman, Ryan Moore, Jal Morera, if you have those guys riding and they're 15 to 1 or whatever, it doesn't matter to them. They'll probably do what they can to get home. And if you just stare at win percentages, you wouldn't take, some guy winning 30% at Charlestown over Mike Smith. You just wouldn't do it, So, to get back to where we were, look at this. T. Small, our rider from Germany, winning billions of dollars with Spice Turtle. Just victory after victory. Little blip in the Windy City Turf Classic. Won the ARC. Won the Japan Classic. McClendon comes on board for the Equinox. Now, this is a prime example of why jockeys matter so much. And Lawton, where's T. Small? Where's the usual? For whatever reason, not available here. So, who gets on board? And Lawton, New York rider. He's racing all kinds of big races. Has a long history of big efforts. But, guess what? Not a great turf rider. Great on dirt. Has won countless graded stakes on dirt. As a matter of fact, he rode Ray of Pie to a third place finish in the Jockey Guild Gold Cup back in like 2003. Going 10 furlongs on dirt, a distance and a surface that Ray of Pie did not prefer. And he improved that horse on dirt. Guess what though? This isn't dirt, this is turf. And what's he do? He fucks up a wet dream. Couldn't even get him in the money. 9 point. Look how consistent. Dan Silver has done an absolutely amazing job with this horse. Look how consistent this runner is. Lawton gets on him. It's a rider change. It's a bad one. It's a 10 length difference. 9 points. You know how big 9 points is how big a 9 point difference is? And then look, Small gets on board, keeps right on clicking. So you can't look at this and say, oh man, jockeys don't matter. Well, guess what? Dan will tell you that he's pissed that Lawton was on board that race and didn't get the job done. And look at that consistency. What's the only difference? Lawton was on board. Clendon was on board here. He's an okay rider out of Vermont. Didn't have any problem, but here there's a bad finish right there. So you can see that and say, wow, yeah, makes a huge difference. Let's look at another horse here. There's our pal Texas Ace. Very overrated, if you ask me, as a rider. But he's been on this horse a bit consistently. Look at some others. We'll see if there's some other good representation out here. And I don't want you to think I'm just cherry picking examples necessarily. A lot of these horses don't have a long enough resume to really show what kind of difference a jockey will make. It's especially important in grade 1s, especially important in grade 1s and grade 2s. This is one I like here. So, B. Austin. He's been riding this horse all these times. Just 10-11% guy. But look at that loyalty. Traveling all over the world. Japan, Paris, Ontario, Surrey, Victoria, Japan. Getting the job done in a couple of these races. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to put up a 25% guy to necessarily be consistent or to get a consistent team of results with the horse. It's just, you know, figure out ones that race well for you, and those are the ones you want to select. Let me go back a far way in history here. The last thing I really wanted to touch upon is jockeys that have the ability to manage a race. And what I mean by that is these are guys that, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, shout out to War Emblem 5, these are guys that can get basically the pace or the race speed to come down and make their horse competitive in it. And the speed figure will be skewed lower. It's really something that that can really only be described in showing you this. So this is one of my former horses. This is from 2015. Had J. Biagi on here. She's out of Arizona, and she had a lot of good rides with this horse, but no, I took her off the payroll. She started to go downhill in like these last 3 months. Just not as used. Didn't improve the runners nearly as well as back in the day. But here's a good example. So this horse runs 117, 118, wonderful, 113, going 9. Look at this race here, Woodward Memorial. If I hid this right side, and just showed you the speed figures, you know, what would you think? If I just showed you those numbers right there to the left, it's like, oh, well, he must have ran like 8th in that race. That 108 there, no, that's not good enough. Wrong. Winner. Full field. J-Dog getting the job done. Let's look at the results of the race. Let's look who was racing. I mean, runs a 108. Slow. Final time slow for this field. Let me see if I can pull up some of the speeds of the horses that ran 2nd, 3rd, 4th in that race. Let's see what they were like going into that one. Again, look here, 114. This horse ran a 107 to run 2nd. Next race runs a 116, 113. So this was a field that was fully capable of running big speeds. Look at these 9 for 115, 109. Huge. And J-Dog comes in, and he's able to somehow manipulate the race and win with a slower time. With a slower speed figure than this field's capable of going. Let me show you a more recent example here. of doing that same thing. Look at this Breeders' Bowl Juvenile filly this year. Field runs a 96. J-Dog's right in the mix, running third. Just kind of knowing how to get into the race. Look at this race in the debutante, 82, runs third. I mean, you know, some jockeys get it done in different ways. He's able to, you know, almost slow down the entirety of the race to be in contention. But you know, it just goes to show different riders will have different talents on what they can do. And then he came in. He was the jockey to win on the Millwood for me. Zero to the Stars. Right here, Millwood winner at 54 to 1. Again, a field that was probably more than capable of putting out 118s. Or better. 119s, 120s maybe. You know, a field that had the numbers, had the speed numbers capable of doing huge things. I mean, look at this horse. Huge numbers going 16, and then just and then, you know, wasn't as good as their other races. And we see that in real life as well. You know, we see jockeys steal the race on the front end, or be a lot closer to the pace than they usually are or expected to be, and then they take advantage of it. This is, you know, being in much better position in a race like this. It's more of a, you know, like a Australian or European style racing where, you know, the horse is a deep closer, but the rider, you know, is able to get the horse into a better position earlier and win a race that wasn't necessarily, you know, groomed for the horse, or maybe, you know, front end went soft, or you know, various other reasons. You know, you can dream up any reasons in your mind when viewing a race like this, but you know, it's a talent for some of these riders to be able to do that, to be able to be competitive in certain races, and to take advantage of certain situations. So just to reiterate here, the main thing to help you stop sucking is first, just simply select jockeys. Go to the miscellaneous tab, hit jockeys, wherever the hell you race regularly, you know, be it region or whatever. If you race everywhere, pick everywhere. Pick everywhere and go through the list. Don't feel obligated to look in this 20% range. Just select select a handful from, the percentages from like 15% up to like 25%. Because remember, if someone bids a race, they're going to get the jockey they're choosing. Some jockeys may be getting paid more by other stables, but those jockeys aren't necessarily the ones that will ride well for you. So select, 5 from each track, or, a couple dozen from each region, and then go from there. That's the start. Once you see some guys are useful, suddenly, wow, take a look at your results. Say, this horse was pretty mediocre, was pretty average. I wasn't expecting a huge effort, and this jockey came on board, put in a huge effort. Give that jockey a shot at running in some of the big races. There's not just 20 good riders in the game. There's tons of them. And there's tons of them at various distances in surfaces. So go out and find them, and give them a go in the big races. To couple this with the first episode, give these guys a chance on your up-and-comers. They're up-and-comers too. The horse and the jockey are both up-and-comers, and could pay big dividends to team them up and steal a couple big races. I didn't expect to have many graded winners this year, but suddenly I have 3 3-year-olds in the long turf division that look like they're going to make some noise. So, and it just started with taking a chance on a guy, and the risk paying off. So here we go. We got Munoz. We got T. Cooper. This is some turf sprinting, just to show you that I don't always use Eberhard and J-Dog. There's some other guys I got that I use. Again, T. Cooper's in here. He's only a 14%er, but he's winning. I got him going in some of these big, graded turf sprints. So, that will be it for today's episode. If you have any questions, or if you have any ideas for topics, or if there's anything you don't think I touched upon with regard to jockeys and jockey selection, please feel free to comment or send me an email. One thing I didn't mention was if you select your jockeys and you choose like worthwhile ones, you really don't have to get too involved with messing around with this. If you pick good jockeys, they'll know what to do, and they will ride accordingly. So, I only have a handful that I've changed this on. I usually just trust the guys to do whatever they think is appropriate. But that involves you selecting them first, and then you don't have to worry about this little box here. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you very much. Just as a warning again, this is a different screen capture I selected. It may have some weird noises in there, and for that I apologize. But thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this episode. I hope it spurs discussion, and I hope it spurs debate as well. So, thank you guys, and I just want to let you know I appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.